Hey everyone, I'm Cole Paulson.
And I'm Lily Rosson.
And welcome to the Season 1 finale of Deep Space Wine, the podcast that has attempted to bravely recap and decode every episode of Season 1 of Deep Space Nine, the forgotten stepchild of the Star Trek universe. Each episode, we share a bottle of wine, we wind down, and then wind ourselves up again with our strong opinions about DS9, because in our social experience, there's nothing people love more than when someone talks at length about Star Trek or wine.
Or Jumja sticks.
I have so much to say about Jumja sticks.
But just quickly, I was on the edge of my seat how far you were going to take that past tense thing. I was like, and then we wound down and wound up and then we drank, and I was like, is he going to do it? And
Then I started changing tense halfway through like a bad college essay. It just got messy.
But like,
thank you.
If you think about our podcast, it is like a bad college essay. So
I often think that it's like a good college essay. So
you're right. No, I'm being self-deprecating. I actually think it's high distinctions all around.
Of course you do.
Jumja sticks, right? Am I right?
And everything they represent.
What do they and what don't they? And I have things to say, and Freud has things to say.
Freud has a lot to say about those Jumja sticks.
Lots of things to say. Yeah.
But we did it. We've come to the grand season finale. They splurged on this one. We got Jumja sticks. We got big sets. We got big actors. We've got fashions galore. I mean, the looks this episode is serving.
It's a great episode to end on because I think it really encapsulates a lot of why we're here in the first place. Oof. And it's not just to drink tasty juice. But
if you insist.
So on this note, I will say I've done some listening to our podcast and I've noticed a bit of a trajectory that happens over the course of our season. Yeah. Some things have changed, some things have stayed the same, as you might imagine. But one of the things is that compared to the first episode, Cole and I, we've kind of gone hog wild down the rabbit hole of comparative secondary sources. If you listen to our first episode, we mainly talk about our thoughts and feelings regarding the episode. And then, as one might argue, either a good or bad college essay, we're like, but what about secondary sources?
Yeah.
And I was like, God, imagine if we were just still talking about how a scene made us feel. But I do think we got a bit bored with that. So to really mess with all of y'all's brains, my secondary text for this episode is going to be the first episode of the podcast Deep Space Wine.
My brain is exploding and my heart.
Yeah. Feelings are important.
The feelings. All I'm going to say, I like talking about my feelings, but they don't get me an A+ on my college essays, Lily.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
But they do win friends. And as we know, we have parasocial relationships with people out there and they probably want to know our feelings about things. So
it's been really comforting to have recruited some listeners during this season who tolerate our secondary sources and our feelings.
Recruited. I like it how you make us sound like a cult.
You said the word. I wasn't going to say it out loud.
Look, I've told you this before, but one of our friends did say that they could see me as a cult leader. And it's probably the nicest thing anyone's ever said about me. So
I'm not here to argue because you're the leader and I'm terrified.
I am. That's right.
Disagreeing with the cult leader.
You know what happens? You get in the box.
That's a great season 2 episode, by the way, and I love it.
So I'll be taking my cues from Michael Piller, who has described this episode in the hands of the prophets. He describes this episode as a bookend episode to the Emissary, saying it creates this bookend to the season. There's a confrontation that seems to have been coming all along, and we've met all these different people and found out what their lives were like, and everything was coming to a head for this final episode. And on that note, Ira Stephen Bear, from the mouth of God, he says, in the hands of the prophets, it's not just another episode, it's a season-ending episode that re-examines the relationship between Bajor and the Federation and the relationship between Sisko and Kira, and gives us some thought-provoking drama. So yes, the secondary text, one might call this a meta-analysis. What I'll be looking at really is our discussion of the first episode, Emissary, the part 2 episode, because I really didn't want to watch Emissary again. And I was like, I'm going to hear what these podcasters had to say about Emissary, and that's how I will get my facts.
Turning to some reliable sources.
That's it. I was like, I don't know what it is about these two, but I really trust them for some reason. And then I'll also be diving into our respective opinions of DS9 in general, how that's changed, how that's stayed the same. And I might even be asking the question, if Lily and Cole are Bajor and the Federation, who is who? Or if Lily and Cole are Sisko and Kira, who is who?
No,
Yes.
this is wading into some really dangerous territory.
Yeah. We'll offend each other so much that we cancel the podcast, and this is the last time you ever heard from us or each other.
Things are about to get tense.
Are you with me? You're a smart guy. You got high distinctions for your college essays.
So effectively, this is the bookend to Emissary, the season premiere. And you are going to treat this as a bookend to our journey together on this podcast from episode 1 until now.
Correct.
I'm here for it. Yeah. I'm ready. Also, I just want to give a shout out to our man, David Livingston. Speaking of highlights from our first season on Deep Space Wine, we had an amazing interview with David Livingston, the most prolific Star Trek director.
Anyone has heard about that, but we did.
It's come up a few times. But they brought the big guns back for the finale, and the crowds are back. The camera work is back. I don't know if you caught them. There's some amazing cinematography going on.
Yes.
And I will be singling it out because Mr. Livingston, I applaud you.
It was very fun. It was Hitchcockian. There's amazing camera angles.
Yeah, that was the big thing that came up in our conversation with David Livingston. He's got this amazing encyclopedic knowledge of film history, and it came through again with some Hitchcock here. I love that you spotted that too.
Yeah, he's old mate David Livingston. So a retrospective is what we're doing. Can I tell you some of the things that I noticed as retrospectives in both this episode and our episode 1?
Yes, please.
So from Emissary in Deep Space Nine, the main thematic things that I've noticed a link between the Bajoran geopolitical relations with the Federation. The first and the last episode are quite devoted to this Sisko and Kira's relationship, as I also hinted at.
Which I love. I love it whenever they give airtime to that. So I was so glad that came back.
Me too. O'Brien, being very O'Brien heavy. I'd forgotten how much O'Brien was in Emissary. His ongoing struggles and his ongoing marriage struggles, let's be honest.
Yeah, picking up on the major themes of the show here.
Odo and Quark's love story is not the biggest subject matter, but it's definitely played with. And then also the series not really knowing what to do with Bashir and Dax. That is made abundantly clear in this final episode. They pretty much non-existent.
You barely see them.
Yeah.
But if we can talk progress, Bashir does not hit on Dax once, and that is what I call evolution.
Yeah. And then I guess also Sisko's motivation. That's the main theme of episode 1, Emissary. What's happened to him to bring him to this point in his life? His wife has died. He's been through this trauma. He's come to the station. He's in this position he doesn't want to be in. What Fango Dango then in the wormhole with some aliens, and suddenly he's the emissary and everything's changed and he's inextricably entwined with Bajor and the wormhole. And I think that we can look at who he is in that first episode and the beginning of his evolution and see a different person in this episode, I would argue.
Totally agree.
Things I noticed from episode 1 of Deep Space Wine. You ready? To cringe. And these are things that we were bringing up day 1.
Okay.
Number 1 being, who is smashable? Pretty much the first thing that we talk about. Who would you smash? Who would you not smash? And
Are you saying that have we evolved beyond that? Is this not worthy discussion?
I guess I'm saying I'll never change. You can't make me change. And I'm the cult leader. So get back in your box.
Because I do have questions related to this episode.
To who is smashable.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed, and this is also my little shout out to you, Mr. Paulson, acknowledging that from the very beginning, you're pretty good at summarizing my chaotic thoughts, but not just that. I don't know if people know this, but we do this podcast for free. And when I say we, I mean that I buy some wine and then we sit down and record this together. But then I go on my merry way and Cole Paulson painstakingly produces and edits the beautiful product that we send out into the world. And I do nothing. So thank you, Cole, for all your hard work over the year.
It's the least I can do for the delicious wine you've introduced to my life. So I feel like we're even.
Okay, another thing is, in that first episode, we have some wildly differing opinions about characters, text, subtext, acting choices. Cole, you say that you will defend Nana visitors' acting choices to your dying breath.
Did I say that?
That was a quote, a direct quote. Maybe we've changed, maybe we haven't changed.
Have you and I fought as much as Sisko and Kira? Have we had as many disagreements over the course of this season as they have?
Now that I look back on it, I think we've had some pretty strong disagreements about
some damn good fights. I think that's what Sisko calls it.
Very unimportant things. Mostly about people's acting choices. I'm not going to lie. That's our main point of contention.
Sisko's diction. We've had some words about that.
Yeah.
What matters is that we've come through closer and stronger for it. We've worked through our differences, I think.
Yeah. From the very first episode, there was a bit of an obsession with fashion, props, mise en scene, and it's not just me, it's also you.
Really? I thought
Yes.
you like infected me with that obsession.
No, go back and listen to it. You're noticing these things too. I'm just maybe bringing them to the fore a little bit more than you want them to be. And now, I don't know, maybe that's different. So yeah, this will be the meta mindfuck, and this will be an extra special episode for anyone with anxiety because Cole and I will be analysing our analysis in real time. But yeah, for the actual episode, pretty classic A and B story. We've got the A story, which is a Bajoran political religious conflict. They're in conflict with the ideology of the Federation. And then the B story, which is a classic sciencey mystery with a death. And also O'Brien considering adultery, which I didn't see coming. That's cool too. And then these turn out to be directly interconnected storylines. Some other things to consider throughout the episode, maybe more just like threads we can pull at rather than totally deep diving into. The main one being religious orthodoxy versus secularism. Mm-hmm. Cole, you probably got some things to say about that.
Got some thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not going to dunk on organized religion. Maybe I'm going to leave that to you. But yes, some parallels to creationism versus evolution in public schools in America is the main thing.
I think there's parallels to many religions. We talked about it before. The Bajoran religion is sort of like a grab bag of like a grazing platter of all these different human religions, and it takes different things. It evokes different things from all these different religions, including the evangelical movement in the US for sure.
The thing I was reading about was the links to Catholicism. Did you do
that
some
too?
reading about that? So Robert Hewitt Wolfe based the Bajoran system on apparently 15th and 16th century Catholicism.
Really?
Yeah, so when the Pope was more of a political figure than today. Right. And all the different orders were vying to have their candidate installed as Pope, which is something that we see play out with the different orders within the Bajoran religion. And then I've got a quote from him, which is pretty good. He says, "I have a serious objection to people trying to impose their values on other people, and that's what this episode is about. No one has the right to force anyone to believe the things that they believe. That's one of the beautiful things about Gene Roddenberry's vision of IDIC. Do you know about IDIC?
Absolutely.
Infinite diversity and infinite combinations. That was one of the things that we really wanted to hammer home here. Sisko does everything not to impose his values on the Bajorans, but Vedek Wynn is determined to impose her values on everyone."
Vedek Wynn. So many great things in this episode. It is rich.
Yeah.
I'm already predicting that I'm the Kira to our Kira Sisko dynamic.
I thought I was Kira. Shit.
Interesting. I'm ready to challenge Wolf's statement there that Sisko's stance here is about infinite diversity and infinite combinations. I think the episode is even more nuanced than the writer, Robert Hewitt Wolfe, might have even intended it to be. And I actually really love it. It's a really good sort of ethical conundrum that they set up the way all the best Star Trek episodes managed to do. I think it challenged a lot of my beliefs about the relationship between science and religion.
Yeah. And I guess just to draw it back to episode 1 of Deep Space Wine.
Of course.
There was quite a lot of discussion about a young Cole and how Star Trek is foundational in his understanding of himself.
Absolutely.
But a young Cole also came from a religious background. So I think we've got a bit of a melting pot there of...
Yeah, it's true. In fact, when I was a teenager, I actually... I wrote a letter to Star Trek magazine speaking in support of Kira's faith and saying that I appreciated Kira's character as representing a devout, faithful, and strong person on Star Trek, and saying that was a nice sort of counterweight to all the probably atheist Starfleet officers, and showing that faith can be a source of strength and courage rather than a sort of weakness. So that was little 12-year-old Cole speaking up for faith in the Star Trek universe.
I agree with 12-year-old Cole. And I think over the series, you see the comfort and the joy that Kira and also the other residents on Deep Space Nine take from the religion. Obviously, it's still a nuanced portrayal because, like in this episode, it's clearly religion can be used for evil. But yeah, I think we do get to see Kira's strength and love for her religion and her gods. And yeah, would I write to a magazine? No, because they don't exist anymore. So showing your age there, Cole Paulson. But I think I agree with that sweet little boy. I guess we could briefly talk about Louise Fletcher, who plays Vedek Wynn.
Heck yes.
This is the introduction of her character, arguably the greatest villain in Star Trek. I'm calling it.
Wow. Is there a Star Trek villain we love to hate more than Vedek Wynn?
No.
She's got to take the cake.
The softly spoken, manipulative, cloying, sneaky, political, self-motivated villain. It's what I want to see.
The doublespeak, the passive aggression. Sometimes I hate to hate her.
Ooh, it makes me shudder.
I mean, sometimes I actually hate to hate her because she's so loathsome.
Yeah.
Also, here's another little snippet from 13-year-old Cole. I had this horrific realization one day in Sunday school that my youth group leader at my church reminded me exactly of Vedek Wynn.
Oh, no.
And that's the moment I decided I wanted to stop going to Sunday school.
Oh, Star Trek.
Sorry, that's the moment I decided I wanted to stop attending that Sunday school.
Okay. But was she like passag?
She was so cloying and she wanted to smother you with kindness, but it was always calculated. There was always these machinations turning about how can I get Cole to convince all of his friends who he goes to school with to come to church tomorrow so that I can convert them all.
Yeah. You were a tool.
Definitely. The facade of kindness with the very apparent frauder machinations going on behind the surface.
Yeah. It's actually scarier than someone just outright being a bad person.
No, exactly. Because then it also forces you to engage with them. You also basically have to speak their language. And you see Sisko slipping into this doublespeak with Wynn.
Yeah. It forces you to engage with the psychodrama. And once you're in it, it's really hard to slip away from it. God, 12-year-old Cole, you went through a lot. What if she's listening to this podcast? Would she know it's her?
Definitely.
Yeah, Cole saw you. He saw right through that lady.
I remember I got in the car once after youth group and I was like, Mom, she is exactly like Wynn.
What did your mom say?
She did not disagree.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, it is what
Shout out
it is.
to your mom for hearing that.
She gets it.
Yeah. I also had a bit of a thing about how Vedek Wynn is like a new breed of con man, that she's like a bit of a snake oil salesman. That she's selling a product that really seems like she believes in it, but we might find out later throughout the series. This is a long form theory that you have to watch the entire series to understand. But what we understand at this point is that she claims to have spoken to the prophets, but that, spoiler, we'll find out later, she reveals she's never spoken with them. I
think it's the most interesting question about Wynn is, what is her faith? How faithful is she? How much does she believe? I think that's what keeps her interesting because I'm never really sure.
Yeah. I think, to me, she's a character where everything is a power grab. We'll see in this episode and we'll see throughout the series that she will continually enact things that completely go against the Bajoran faith in an attempt to seat herself in a greater position of power. She really is the dark side of religion.
No, definitely. She's an amazing character in that regard.
And my final question is, do you think did I blow my load earlier talking about moral panic in a previous episode? Should I save it for this?
No, this is cumulative, Lily. We're building on discussions from past episodes.
All right, because I was like, this would have been a good one to discuss moral panic, the way Vedek Wynn is able to whip up a frenzy so quickly.
When we discussed Duet, we talked about moral panic. We talked about history repeating itself and history being cyclical. So we're building. Yeah. I mean, Deep Space Nine is building on its themes. It's building this opus one episode at a time, much like Deep Space Wine.
Deep Space Wine.
So get into moral panic. I'm here for it.
Great. The wine.
Yes.
I'll stop talking soon because you are going to recap this. But because I did my sort of re-listening, I have 2 retractions that I'd like to make. I have fact-checked myself because no one else can be bothered to do it.
This is big of you. For a cult leader, this is big of you.
I know, but I have to show transparency, or at least give the appearance of transparency. I hear that's really important. I'll tell you, tonight we'll be drinking a champagne. And in a previous episode, we talked about the champagne coupe. And I told you it was modeled after Marie Antoinette's breasts. Do you remember this?
Yeah. Are you going to take that away from me?
Okay. While some people maintain that this is true, they are Marie Antoinette's breasts, it's more widely agreed that it was Madame de Pompadour, who, if you don't know, it was Louis XV's main side piece.
Interesting.
And it makes sense because it's a bit more of a classic mistress bit, don't you think?
Like,
take a cast of my boob and then drink out of it.
Yeah.
Well, like, I'm fine.
Yeah. And I could see Louis being like, hey, I've got my side piece here. Come take a cast of her breasts.
He just loved it. He loved champagne as well. He brought it really into popularity for the upper classes, the royalty, to be drinking champagne. The other retraction, totally irrelevant, or maybe extremely irrelevant to this podcast, because obviously I've done some soul gazing, re-listening to it. At some point, we said that I was similar to April Ludgate from Parks and Rec,
Yes.
April Ludgate played by Aubrey Plaza. And after
Yes.
listening to the podcast, I think this is objectively wrong because I'm like a very excitable, earnest nerd. And I just have some shades of dryness and cruelty, but I'm not. I'm actually a loser who gets really excited about things, talks quickly, and has been listening to The Music Man nonstop for, I don't know, the past 3 weeks.
But okay, anyone who's seen Parks and Rec knows that April Ludgate actually she's got this lovable heart wrapped in this shroud of cynical defenses. And I like to think that, speaking on the journey we've been through together, I think that in episode 1, you came with all your April Ludgate cynicism, and I've just melted your steely defenses so that you're letting your nerd flag fly.
Cole, you're already doing it. You're already meta-analyzing. Here's me thinking that was me from the get-go. But you're right. I was shitting on this show day one. And look at me now.
Because as I recall from listening to Starfleet Savior Complex, I was the nerd who was ready to go hard and be like, this is what Sisko speaking to the prophets has taught me about love and grief and time. And you were like, he talks like a moron. And
I'm like, what's up with the way he talks? No, all right.
And I've let you know that it's okay to bring in those secondary sources and feel feelings. And this is a safe space.
Look, thank you, Cole, for expanding my horizons.
I knew it was all there inside.
All right, so the wine.
Please.
Well, it's got to be champagne. I did spoil that already, but it's champagne. It's our final episode. Can you believe it? We're here. I'm going to pop it.
Final episode of season 1.
Woo! Just so everyone knows. Whenever. Speaking of blowing your load. All right. It's a champagne. Ruinart. This is actually the oldest established champagne house, which has exclusively been producing champagne since 1729. Obviously, champagne has existed for a long time before that. It's a brut, B-R-U-T. It's French for dry, raw, or unrefined, and it's the most common style of champagne. And to be brut, it has to be made with less than 12 grams of added sugar per litre. And that's my factoids about champagne. Champagne, what do you think about it?
What do I think about champagne? I suppose I love a good sparkly. I admit when I'm sipping some champagne or some Prosecco, it doesn't taste like wildly better on my palate. I'm just like, this is another sparkly. But that probably speaks more to my uncultured middle American palate.
I don't think you'd be alone in feeling that way about champagne. I think a lot of people, their experience with it, and we're not going to talk about the Prosecco thing because champagne is champagne, right? So there are sparkling wines. Champagne is made in Champagne, which we have talked about in a previous episode.
I mean, it's not, it might be bottled on Chorus One, but it's made in Champagne.
Might be bottled on Chorus One. Apparently it's still champagne. It is not. So I think, people, maybe they haven't even really had champagne or they've had a glass and you just get maybe a lot of yeastiness or a lot of bubbles and it's hard to delve into what that actually tastes like. I have a friend who's a somm and we were actually sitting around the table at my birthday this year and we were playing the Proust game. So
the Proust game?
It's like questions that Proust asked and... So we're going around.
Wait, pause. You're like, I'm just a fun gal. Let me tell you about sitting around with my sommelier friends playing the Proust game.
Like you.
I sip champagne and talk about Proust. Oh, God. How are we ever going to get more listeners to this podcast? That is some highbrow shit. Tell me about the Proust game.
I can't remember the particular question, but the question was like, what's your most lavish habit? And so we're all talking about different things. Someone was saying clothes or whatever.
Yours is discussing Star Trek and sipping fine wine.
It's lavish. But my friend who's a somm, Sophie, she said that her most lavish habit is champagne. Like you have access to champagnes, right? Because you're not just buying bottles on your own. Because if you did that, you would bankrupt yourself like immediately. She's gotten to try all these different champagnes and they are wildly different. And there's this cool thing you can do where you can decant champagne, which loses the bubbles, which obviously loses the point. But then at the end of it, you get this like really complex wine. So it's like the more you drink, the more you understand that they are all totally different expressions of the grape, different expressions of the terroir, the same things that you have with wine. It's just that you have to be a fucking baller to do it. It would be so expensive to try all these different champagnes all the time.
Sure.
So if anyone wants to bankroll that, like if anyone wants this to be deep space champagne, I'm open to it. We could just do champagnes. That's cool with me.
Anyone? Deep space champagne?
Crickets.
Just give them time.
Anyway, enough about Proust. On to this drink.
Who said we wouldn't have secondary sources this episode?
So the wine itself, this is from the producers, Ruinart. The colour, it sparkles in chestnuts, yellows and golds. This is great copy, by the way. The nose. First impressions reveal subtle fruity notes of Ruinart apples and apricots. Hints of elderflower and coriander seed add a touch of complexity. Second impressions create room for intense aromas of brioche and biscuit. This is a very common tasting note, brioche and biscuit. You get that a lot with champagnes, I think, sort of to do with the yeastiness and the leaves and everything like that. On the palate, sweet notes of golden fruit, plum tarts, and ripe droops. I didn't read that before. No idea what that means.
A ripe droop?
A ripe droop develops in the mouth. The palate
Sounds
is
like something a
enveloped
dowager countess would say. What a ripe droop you are.
The palate is enveloped in harmonious and persistent roundness. The finale reveals the distinctive freshness of Chardonnay.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah. Side note, the Ruinart apples that you get on the nose, it's a particular variety of apple found in the Rhine.
Ruinart, okay.
And that was Louis XV's nickname for Madame de Pompadour.
All right, full circle.
It means little queen.
Ruinart. Yeah. And we know what he meant by little. He was referring to her.
To the tiny little apple boobies.
Yeah, little breastises.
So that's the cyclical nature of this podcast.
Okay, so we discussed A and B plots. A lot of Deep Space Nine episodes have A and B plots. Do you think Deep Space Wine often has A and B plots?
Absolutely. Yes, agreed. Oh, I love where this is going. Okay.
I mean, I think our A plot is often this wanky secondary source analysis linking the plot to Shakespeare or Proust.
And the B plot is will they, won't they? Like, are they going to do it? Lily and Cole.
Exactly. Look, we're the Odo and Quark of our own podcast. That love-hate dynamic that we thrive off of.
But really, it's mainly love.
So I'm Jake to your Nog.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think I'm Nog.
No, we've agreed on that before.
Unlike Jake and Nog, I think there's so much evolution over the series.
Yeah, look how far we've already come. You've learned how to read this season, which is really exciting for you. And you've, much like Jaco, you've corrupted me. You've gotten me to indulge in horrible habits like drinking wine late into the night.
Do you want to know something, though? I thought that I came up with finding the underboob. Incorrect. That was
Oh, no,
Mr.
I was
Paul
all
Paulson.
over the underboob, obviously. I was all over that.
So, have we really changed that much since the first episode? Like, you claim to have these lofty, earnest appreciation of the show, but you were all up in that underboob day one.
Well, let's revisit this at the end of today's episode.
Great.
Have Sisko and Kira really evolved? Have Lily and Cole really evolved? These are some of the big A-plot questions that we're tackling.
Yeah. And the B plot is adultery.
Also, who's smashable?
I think that's my A plot.
Are Bajorans smashable? I think that's a key. It's a critical question driving the B plot, at least. To be discussed.
To be discussed. Should we jump in?
Yeah, let's do it. We've opened the champagne and we leave the rest in the hands of the prophets.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
Here we go. Well, down on the promenade, O'Brien is forcing one of those juicy Jumja sticks onto Keiko.
No, the first shot is a close-up of a Jumja stick.
Many thick, juicy Jumja sticks.
They're thick and juicy, and I have immediately so many questions for the prop design team of DS9. Number one being, will you come on this podcast and please talk to us about anything? Like, I will talk about any set piece, any prop. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, but especially the Jumja sticks.
What do you think they taste like?
Okay, so we know that they're made from the sap of the Jumja tree. And
yeah, it's a natural sweetness.
Not to be confused with the Jub bird, which comes up in Lewis Carroll's Jabberwocky.
The Jabberwocky, yeah.
I had to cross-reference to make sure.
I thought it was the Jub tree.
It's the Tum tree and the Jub bird.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I feel so embarrassed right now.
Lily, gosh, this is awkward. Come on.
This is...
Just go rest yourself by the Tum tree and come back when you're ready to speak proper Lewis Carroll again.
Shit. In the box for me. I go in the box too.
I believe it's beware the Jub bird and shun the Vrumius Vandersnatch.
Yeah.
Back to the topic at hand. Made from the sap of the Jumja tree, rich in vitamin C. To me, they taste like molasses.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
My thought went to like agave, but then I was also like, this is a crazy Star Trek world. Now in my mind, they taste like a sweet Earl Grey tea syrup.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you know that really common candy in Mexico, a hard candy? It's really sweet with sort of a bitter kick.
Oh.
Tamarind.
Tamarind, yes, yes.
Because in Mexico, you can get these hard tamarind candies, and that's what I'm imagining.
Yeah, okay, cool. So what do you think about this? O'Brien, to me, he's making a bid for connection with Keiko and she's rejecting it.
Yeah, it's tragic seeing these two and their marital problems playing out before our eyes. He's still trying to get her to fall in love with the wonders of Bajoran culture, and she's like, yeah, nah, at breakfast time, please, too early.
Yeah. But also maybe speaks to her unwillingness to dabble in a different culture. Don't know.
And I think that's huge for her.
Yeah.
This episode is her unwillingness to really immerse herself in the culture she's in. You really get like a couple who's been sent to work for the State Department in a different country, and Keiko is just resisting as much as possible, trying to buy her McDonald's as much as she can and interact with the locals as little as possible. That's Keiko right here.
Man.
So Miles is trying to school Keiko on Jumja. Turns out he's been getting quite an education in Bajoran treats from his assistant Neela, who, if you recall, is that pretty young thing who debuted last episode. And Keiko coyly warns him, be careful who you share your Jumja with, Miles.
Ooh.
And okay, is this the most explicit dick joke in all of Star Trek canon?
Yes. Because immediately afterward, O'Brien goes whole hog on that stick. And I'm like, this is a family show, Miles O'Brien. How about just like a little lick? Just no, straight down the gob.
Yeah. Listeners, if you can think of any other dick jokes in Star Trek that are as blatant as this, please write us. Instagram, deepspace1_podcast. I'm dying to know. But they're going for it.
Much like O'Brien, they are just going all in.
Full hog on the Jumja. So Keiko is on her way to teach class. Here she is teaching kids about the wormhole. Jake astutely points out that the wormhole by the station is the first stable wormhole known to exist, which is a pretty big deal. But then who should walk in? Why, the Sydney Opera House.
Yes, there it is.
With Best Actress Louise Fletcher attached to it.
They're both here. So weird.
They're both here in all their greatness.
Wow.
Should we just pause for a moment to appreciate the looks of the Vedek assembly? How do you feel about this ensemble?
I have so many feelings.
Of course you do.
Number one being that it is the perfect ensemble for her and her character. Like, it's overly ostentatious, it's fussy, it's got like pleating, she's got these jangly bells around her neck. The most disconcerting thing is that her whole body is covered, so it's like a bit of a Catholicism thing, a bit of like a wimple situation.
Definitely wimple-like.
But there's cutouts on the ears, and I understand the significance. It's all about the ears with the Bajorans, but it is icky and gross. It feels like, ugh, I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I think it's perfect. It is overly fussy and ostentatious and heavy, but it evokes Catholic nun enough to maybe spark some horror story memories of anyone who went to a Catholic school growing up and got, slapped on the back of the hand by Sister Mary Margaret.
Or worse, yeah.
There's a great quote from costume designer Robert Blackman, who has been asked, was the Sydney Opera House an inspiration for this?
Yes.
He's asked, was that intentional, subconscious, or a coincidence?
Yes.
And Robert Blackman says, yes to all of that.
Robert Blackman, can he be on the podcast?
Robert Blackman, let us know whenever you're available.
I'm sorry if anything that we said sounded like shit talking. It is truly said in love.
I think if we have heaped praise on any cast or crew member, it would be Robert Blackman.
Yes. And I think if you've ever wanted to feel seen by someone, I think we can say we see you. We really see you.
Absolutely. So yes, in walks Vedek Wynn. She's a Bajoran cleric, and even though she flashes Keiko one of those signature ingratiating smiles, she does not waste a minute pouncing as soon as Keiko calls the wormhole artificially constructed. She says, that is my celestial temple you were talking about?
Blasphemy.
She says, you are opening the children's minds to blasphemy, and I cannot permit it to continue. And the trailer just leaves off of Keiko's exasperated face, the very same face that every poor school teacher makes on parent-teacher night, dealing with difficult parents. And we learn that this episode is presenting this very obvious topic of the week, as you said before, evolution versus creationism in classrooms. Mm-hmm. And on the surface, it's one of the most contemporary hot button issues that Star Trek has tackled. We're dealing with things that you might debate on The View.
Yeah, it's not like the Holocaust. It's like this is
what's going on in the classrooms of our youths. Going back to Colin High School.
Yeah.
My biology teacher had to make this very carefully worded speech about how we are all encouraged to come to our own conclusions about creationism and intelligent design and evolution, and how we would not be discussing any of that in the classroom. We would just be looking at the diversity of life on Earth.
Yeah,
and meanwhile,
your Sunday school teacher was trying to send you in there like some evangelical mole to recruit young minds.
Disciples of Vedek Win. That was us. Straight up. Any more thoughts on that scene?
Oh, the only thing was that I took some time telling off Keiko for having terrible clothes, but that's not that important. Except for that headband she's wearing.
Yeah, her real sin is that headband.
Yeah.
Well, O'Brien's hard at work, and he is just floored to learn that his new assistant, Neela, ain't just young and hot. She's also excellent at her job. She doesn't just know her way around a Jumja stick, but a maintenance panel. But trouble in paradise.
Oh.
One of O'Brien's tools has gone missing.
Who stole his EJ7?
Poor O'Brien is bent out of shape because he never misplaces his tools. What are you taking for? He's Miles Bloody O'Brien, and he keeps his toolkit tidy, damn it. Something that will be repeated ad nauseum this episode. God bless him.
Yes.
Up in Sisko's office, Keiko is speaking to Commander Sisko about this little flap that's come up. Sisko says he's not too surprised, and he reminds the audience that the goal from day one was to bring Bajor into the Federation. I mean, the Cardassians occupied Bajor by force, but Sisko and Starfleet are here to woo Bajor into the Federation, and he doesn't want to ruffle feathers with all this science talk.
And I guess it bookends some questions raised in Emissary about, I guess we would call it colonialism or assimilation. I don't know if you remember the discussion that Sisko and Picard have about what the goal of the Federation being there is for, whether it's to guard a resource or whether it's to assimilate a culture into the Federation. And I think that it's that paternalism of the Federation where they look at a culture and they're like, that culture, I think it's a bit too parochial to be part of us. If they're still so backwards with things like currency and religion, like we're still above that. And that's the way they've treated Bajor, is like, well, we need to see just how enlightened you are, like just how much you've killed your gods, and whether you can also be part of our cool little club.
Yeah, well put. It's really sanctimonious and colonialistic, but it's shrouded in benign. We're here to help you see the light, teach you about science.
Yeah.
From this vantage point of enlightenment. But yeah, that's his whole mission there. And that's a great bookend to remind us what Sisko's actually here for. He calls Kira in, and she explains to them that Vedek Win is from an Orthodox order. She's got some support to become the next Kai, aka the next Pope of the Bajoran religion, but probably not enough support right now. And then Kira shocks Sisko and Keiko by saying she's actually on Vedek Win's side.
Yeah.
Which I actually really love, and I love how calm she is, because this makes Keiko and Sisko freak out. They're like, what? But science. Keiko's like, but I'm here to teach pure science. And Kira says, look, some might say teaching science without a spiritual context is its own philosophy. And man, nothing pisses off a bunch of woke scientists more than calling science a philosophy. And I don't know, it's actually really fun to watch. Keiko's just giving me like Manhattan mom energy who's scandalized at the thought that middle American evangelicals exist.
Yeah. She's also giving Richard Dawkins that sort of like...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's quite close-minded and quite judgmental that anyone could interpret the world around them any differently than she does in her purely rational scientific approach. Kira's like, well, okay, maybe we just have two separate schools. And then Sisko's like, how do you suggest we deal with this? Which is like, she just did. She just gave a pretty practical solution and you just ignored it because it doesn't...
For my 2 cents, it works. If you want your children to learn religious doctrine out of school, send them to a religious school. And then also have the public school. That makes sense to me. I don't know. Is that crazy?
But it doesn't work in the Federation's assimilation and indoctrination methods.
Totally.
Oh, no. We're agreeing here. We're supposed to be disagreeing, Lily. We're supposed to be having a vibrant debate.
Okay. And now, talk about a bookend. I loved Kira in this scene. and proving that people can change. Nana, I thought she nailed this scene. I thought the character had poise and self-possession, and the other two were sort of flapping around, like assimilating dum-dums.
Yeah, like Jumjas.
Couple of jub-jubs under a tum-tum tree.
Exactly. I think Nana's fantastic. I think we could even say that Kira has been making some progress this season. If you go back to episode 1, she's on a very short fuse and she's enraged at even having to try to negotiate with these silly Starfleet people. And she's got some composure here, and it's really nice to see.
It is nice to see.
Props to Nana. Oh, yeah. I remember what I was going to say. So Robert Hewitt Wolf has that quote, "This episode is about infinite diversity and infinite combinations and not imposing your beliefs on anyone." But I feel like Keiko and Sisko are trying to impose their worldview on the Bajorans. And Kira's the one saying, or there's room for different worldviews on this station. Ever heard of it? I think our Starfleet officers actually have something to learn here.
I think you're right. And I think you were right to write into that magazine. And I'm on board. I'm convinced. Yeah.
Well, 12-year-old Cole. We'll cut to the Bajoran temple on the station. And hello, Set Watch. How beautiful is this set?
Set Watch.
Oh, this temple is
the first time
gorgeous.
we see inside of it, right? The temple.
Yeah, and they really pulled out all the stops. You want to have a crack at it?
All right. Pans from the busy promenade to a bird's eye view of the interior of the temple. Vedek Wynn is at the center, at the front, at the altar. We've got some candle chandeliers from above, candeliers, if you will. There's a theme of these sort of round discs that emit light over the temple, and also gold. It's covered in gold, and it's very Catholicism.
Yeah, all that incense in cathedrals.
Sisko enters. First, you hear him, the click of his shoes, and we're still in this bird's eye view. He enters and comes towards Vedek Wynn, and she has her back face to him as she looks up at the altar. And it's Hitchcock. Am I right? Just the sort of the ominous, the person at the front hearing someone come towards them and not turning around. I don't know. It's the suspense.
And the bird's eye view. That's pretty Hitchcockian too, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, shout out to the statues along the walls. They gave me a very like a Han Solo frieze from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But also very beautiful.
It's great.
This is the first meeting of Sisko and Vedek Wynn. And man, the passive-aggressive contest starts immediately.
They're both so good at it.
Sisko's like, if you had told me you were coming, I'd have greeted you sooner. Oof. All right.
It's like somebody's mom at Thanksgiving.
Oh,
I assume. We don't have that here, but
Sisko is dripping with like host mother at Thanksgiving energy. Yes.
I would have prepared the bedroom.
Exactly. But Wynn is like, look, that teacher of yours has dishonored the Celestial Temple. If she does not recant, I cannot be responsible for the consequences. Oof. We got some threat.
It's not even really veiled threats.
What do you make of, they have a brief exchange about Opaka, who they both claim to miss. I certainly miss her too. Wynn says that she would do anything to look into the eyes of the prophets. And she said that when she told Opaka that, Opaka told her to go sit in darkness for a day.
And she did it.
Yeah. What do you make of that?
I mean, it's real chippy, isn't it?
Real what?
Chippy. Chip on the shoulder.
Wynn's trying to be like, yes, I was taught humility, but actually you can tell she like hated Opaka's guts for that moment.
She hated it, and she was like, can you believe this fucking bitch made me do this thing? And I actually think it's sort of drawing attention to, if we're looking at it as a bookend, it draws attention to Sisko's first meeting with Opaka in episode 1 Emissary, which I don't know if you recall, but he and Opaka meet and she is just openness, and she's clearly, no matter what you think about the religion, she's just this kind, compassionate, open person. I described her as a nice deli meat lady who's like,
I remember,
I'm going to give you some salami. And if we're drawing a parallel between her and Vedek Wynn, who would never give you salami.
Yeah, she offers no salami.
And also there's a parallel between Opaka grabbing Sisko's ear and reading his paw. And I think in our analysis of that, we decided that Sisko, as much as it was like a bit of a boundary crossed, he was kind of into it, and it was sort of a spiritual moment for both of them.
Definitely.
Maybe because it's in the hands of someone.
It pulled him out of his comfort zone, but in a good way.
Yeah, whereas this, it's clearly crossing a boundary and it's icky, and she just grabs it with no preamble.
No consent.
You assume that her hands are both cold and sharp and clammy.
Oh, Wynn hands all over your ears.
There's just no warmth or understanding. And she's also just such a political animal. Like, everything she's saying is veiled. It's either like an open threat or a veiled threat, or
I think we talked in Battle Lines how Opaka might have intentionally just removed herself from Bajor because she's just not a political animal. And that's the direction the role of Kai was going. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm just going to go help some crazies make some peace on this prison planet. I am not political.
And I'm going to live forever, motherfuckers.
Exactly. She's having a great time.
I don't remember.
Everyone's having a great time.
I reckon it's a utopia by now.
By now, she's done some great work. It only took her like 6 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, she had that shit sorted.
Because religious life on Bajor does become sort of a hellscape in its own politically calculated way. And she just got the heck out. You can't blame her.
Yeah.
No, I blame her still.
I blame her.
Still mad
anyway, it was the will of the prophets. I think we all believe that.
Out of the temple and back to O'Brien freaking out about his lost tool. Back to the struggles of mere mortals. His assistant Neela doesn't see what all the fuss is about. Meanwhile, that tool isn't the only thing that's gone missing. Turns out Lieutenant Aquino hasn't reported for duty, ruh-roh. O'Brien and Neela quickly track both of them down, or rather the remains of both of them, melted into a puddle in a power conduit. Dun,
gross.
Dun.
Gross.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. Miles is with Keiko taking a turbo lift onto the promenade, and he's telling her the latest about Aquino showing up dead. And all right, David Livingston, I see you. Did you catch this amazing shot? It starts with Miles and Keiko in the turbo lift. They leave the turbo lift and walk up to the Jumja stand, and this crane shot pulls back so that the camera was like behind the Jumja stand the entire time. It like comes out of the turbo lift in the Jumja stand. Like, just well done.
Great work.
Snaps to you, Mr. Livingston. I don't know how expensive that shot was. I did think they say there's a lot of money in the banana stand. There's a lot of money going into that Jumja stand crane shot.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Miles and Keiko are trying to buy a Jumja stick, but they are refused by the Jumja man. Seems the O'Briens are no longer welcome for Jumjas.
The man just wants his Jumja stick. Apparently it's really important to him.
Gotten a little addicted to those juicy Jumjas. Poor Miles grabs the guy by the collar and threatens to shove a Jumja where the sun don't shine. I don't know if you caught this, but he's legit threatening to like shove
Put it up his butt. Yeah.
And he's stopped only by Odo before things get out of hand.
Yeah.
Seek the prophet, says the bigoted Jumja man. Seek them yourself, huffs Odo.
Classic Odo. And he hasn't changed, and nor would I want him to.
No,
he's just
never change, Odo.
In his film noir still. Everyone else is running around doing sci-fi, and he's just doing like dry, catty asides, like a grizzled detective.
Yeah.
There's moments like that. I'm like, would smash.
Going back to smashability. Here we are. Great.
But Odo, you wouldn't. I think we've established you wouldn't.
No. Odo is not smashable in my book.
Like ever? For anyone?
What do you mean for anyone?
It's
like I can't say if he's smashable for other people. It's not it's my call to make. I don't understand this question.
Okay, this brings up, I guess, our rating system. Okay, let me start that again. Our rating system. Is it based purely on whether you would smash? Or is it like more holistic worldview of is that person smashable?
Can there be an objective rating of smashability?
Yeah.
Let's try it on Neela. Is Neela smashable?
Yeah.
I think she's such
cute.
A babe. She is so cute.
She keeps it tight. Yep.
She keeps it tight. Although, makeup artist, I see you. They gave Neela the smallest wrinkles on her nose because they're trying to make her as smashable as possible. And even the makeup artist, they know Bajorans are not smashable.
And they also know that, like, the subtext is that O'Brien wants to smash her, right?
Definitely. We see it. Keiko sees it.
Everyone sees it. And Keiko's not, like, totally threatened, but she's like, yeah, okay, it's fine. You got your little work crash, whatever. We all have that sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think O'Brien, he is conservative, so he's not going to want some real ridgy, slightly masculine presenting Kira-style Bajoran woman. He wants hot, human-looking, femme-presenting woman, which is what Neela is. He wants a femme.
She puts on that lipstick before coming to work.
But the thing is, Cole, you would not actually have sex with this character, would you?
Look, I find Odo entirely too gelatinous for my liking.
I feel like that works for me somehow.
At least we agree on Neela. We agree on some things. Where were we? Jumjaless, the O'Briens then find a crowd outside the school. And Vedek Wynn preaching the teachings of the prophets. And she says hello. Another amazing Vedek Wynn line. She says, I feel your anger toward me, and I forgive you for it. Oh,
Pass egg.
we
And it's a
love
classic,
it.
like, I'm sorry you feel that way.
I'm sorry you feel that way. Exactly.
Yeah.
Wynn makes this big show of trying to compromise, saying, why don't you just not mention the wormhole at all? She says, Keiko, is there any room for the prophets in your classroom? And Keiko just says, nope. Which is, again, Keiko, try harder, because that is a terrible gotcha moment. Keiko's basically just said there's no room for the prophets in your classroom. That's not a good look. More than half your classroom is religious Bajorans. You need to acknowledge your students and their culture. But yeah, she's really putting her sanctimonious science first philosophy stubbornly front and foremost. She's stubbornly sticking to it.
Headband's on too tight. She's just like, ah!
That I want to release her from that headband and just let her relax. But Vedek Wynn stages a walkout. All the Bajoran parents and children all storm off together, leaving just poor little Jake and a handful of non-Bajoran kids left for Keiko to teach.
Yeah, and this is when I dive into the Music Man. No, I'm not going to do it. I think this is sort of Vedek Wynn's moral panic moment where she collects all the parents. And she sort of
we got
throws out,
trouble.
We got trouble. Yeah, right here in River City.
That's exactly what
T
she's
and that
doing.
rhymes with P and that stands for pool.
But instead of trying to sell trombones, she's trying to sell her Orthodox order.
She's trying to sell herself.
Yes,
Kai,
exactly.
But we'll find out later.
Exactly.
Got to figure out a way to keep the young ones moral after school, all right? Or in school. You know?
I can't believe you were about to not drop the Music Man. Come on. Of course there's a place for the Music Man in this discussion. It can't be completely devoid of any secondary sources.
It's just not very Aubrey Plaza of me, that's all. And I question who I am at this point.
Okay, Aubrey Plaza definitely hates the Music Man. I'm with you there.
So who am I?
You're not Aubrey Plaza. We all know that. There's more to
Agreed.
you than that. Yeah.
Agreed.
Up in Ops, director David Livingston treats us to a... No segue. Director David Livingston treats us to a very generous close-up of the ceiling fixture, the ceiling light.
Ooh, I missed this.
Yeah, like for no good, Mr. Livingston, please let me know what your thinking was here. But it just starts with this extreme close-up of the light hovering over Ops, and then it pans down to our officers standing around the table in the middle. And I think he was just bored and wanted to do something cool, and I'm here for it. It's a pretty cool light that we've never seen before. The crew's trying to suss out
I got a theory.
Hit me.
All right, here's my theory. Did you notice the main motif in the temple on Deep Space Nine?
Glowing orbs of light.
The glowing orbs of light. So is this the like temple to secularism of like science on DS9?
Oh my gosh. The Brains Trust, the think tank working under the light of Ops. Lily, I want to wash your feet. That's beautiful.
You know I hate feet. How dare you? I'm Jesus. I get it. Yeah. Get in the box, Skull. Get in.
You're my cult. Wow. So our crew is working under the light, trying to suss out how poor Lieutenant Aquino died. But guess what O'Brien's really dwelling on? He's bent out of shape because Aquino borrowed his tool without asking. Not
Someone
cool,
touched
Aquino.
My thing.
Someone
Aquino,
touched my thing.
So you're dead, but come on.
O'Brien says, look, if Aquino took my wrench without asking, he got what he deserved. Oh, no, wait, he didn't say that, but he's thinking it.
He's thinking it. He's like, that guy, disgusting.
What a piece of trash. What a tool.
I'm glad he melted into goo in that conduit.
Yeah. And then Jake pops in to interrupt. And I think this is maybe my favorite scene of the episode. I think it's a really great exchange. He's telling Sisko that Keiko was not cowed into canceling classes, but instead she taught the 5 remaining kids about Galileo and how he was tried and convicted for teaching that the Earth orbits around the sun. And Jake is like, can you believe what these people did to Galileo? How could anyone be so stupid? And he's like, all the celestial temple stuff is dumb. And his dad's like, look, it is easy to look back hundreds of years later and judge what's right or wrong once we've got this smug superiority of greater knowledge and awareness, right? And he handles it way better, I think, than Keiko's handling it.
Yeah.
And he proves why he's the right person for this post. He says the one thing that allowed the Bajorans to survive over 50 years of Cardassian occupation was their faith. The prophets and their faith was the source of hope and courage. He even says that it's really just a matter of perspective. Okay, so wormhole aliens who don't have a concept of time and can see past and future. Yeah, sounds like prophets to me. I like this because it's, first of all, everything's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of language. But he's also seeing the ways that science and culture meet and how we all make sense of science through the lens of culture. It even got me thinking, even if you're not religious, if you don't subscribe to a particular religion, nature has a way of igniting the spiritual in us. Think about when we look at a beautiful sunrise or we stare into a starry night sky, stirs things we don't have language for.
Or things like the golden ratio seeing. I feel like stuff like that makes a pretty good argument for intelligent design, even though, I don't know, our brains are pattern-making machines. It's kind of like, but how does this thing just keep recurring in nature?
Yeah. And there's this wonder about things we don't understand.
Yeah. And I think I brought up Richard Dawkins, and it's this idea that using science as sort of a full stop on the answer to things, whereas science actually doesn't exist like that. Science is a constantly evolving discipline. So the idea of science is this is what we know so far.
Yep.
These are the conclusions we've drawn. That is not to say these conclusions will not change. And I think when people start using science as a like, this is the answer, the end, no more questions, it becomes another form of religion. It becomes a strict doctrine or an ideology.
Totally.
Yeah, and I think what Sisko does with Jake is he poses a thought experiment to him and he says, why shouldn't the aliens be considered prophets? Like, maybe both can be true. And I think this, for me, it bookends some things with Sisko, because I think that in the first episode, he doesn't know what a Kai is. He doesn't know anything about the Bajoran religion. He has this kind of incredible spiritual experience, and you can't really call it anything else. Like, yes, they're wormhole aliens, but he has epiphanies about himself and where he is at that point in his life, and living in the grief of his wife's death and living in the past and what it is to exist and be alive. And I think as much as he's asking Jake this thought experiment, why shouldn't the aliens be considered prophets? I think he's also kind of asking himself that. Why shouldn't they be considered prophets? And like,
For
are
sure.
they? Yeah, so it's both an intellectual and a spiritual exercise for him, and I think it calls back to that. And on a personal note of bookends, this is a lovely, tender scene between father and son. I loved the way Avery Brooks treats his son. He holds his hand and it's tender and beautiful, and I look back at myself in season 1 making light of their relationship. And I can't,
You did, yeah.
I just can't even believe who I was. I can't even believe I just disparaged their relationship so much when I can be at the end of this season and think, God, this is the most touching episode. There's something about Sisko's relationship with his son that lets him tap into this side of himself that is compassionate and caring and open-minded and has theory of mind. That relationship with Jake really brings it out in him. But also he's just this loving single father. And I look back on episode 1, Lily, and I think, God, who was that person?
The prophets forgive.
Yeah.
There's hope for all of us. Sisko suddenly struck me. He reminded me a lot of Barack Obama. He was channeling some serious Barack Obama here.
Or Barack Obama was channeling some serious Sisko. Look at the timeline.
You know what? I got my chronology wrong. We do know Obama's a Star Trek fan. He was channeling some Sisko.
God. Do we need to go watch all of Barack Obama's speeches?
Yeah. So, okay. I actually thought about this a little bit. Like, Obama, he had this really beautiful generosity in validating different opinions, acknowledging the validity of opinions across the aisle. And he got in big trouble for one quote, but I'm going to read the full quote.
Great.
If you follow American politics, you'll recognize the phrase that got pulled out of this. But here he is talking. He says, you go into some of these small towns in Pennsylvania or in the Midwest, and the jobs have been gone now for 25 years and nothing's replaced them. And over all these different administrations, nothing's happened. So it's not surprising that they get bitter. They cling to guns or religion or antipathy to people who aren't like them, or anti-immigrant sentiment as a way to explain their frustrations.
That went down well.
It did not go down well, but he was trying to say, I mean, it actually sounds just like what Sisko's saying.
Yeah.
For decades, people had it rough. They lost faith in the authorities, and so they fell back on what they know and what they understand and what gives them strength, including their religion. So that's what the poor guy meant.
Yeah.
And that's what Sisko acknowledged.
Kind of forecasting for electing someone like, say, Trump.
It was forecasting Trumpism as well. Yeah. Who, yes, I make some similarities to Sisko and Obama, and I also make some similarities to Trump and a character in this episode later on.
A bit of a snake oil salesman.
Perhaps.
You were?
I think there's some parallels to be drawn to Trump
They're
as well.
eating the dogs.
Oh, we got trouble.
All right, let's not.
So Sisko knows this is becoming a big problem and he needs to make some allies. He heads to Bajor.
Oh,
We're
what a
treated
scene. What
Right?
a bloody scene.
We're treated to a beautiful view of the glistening capital city of Bajor, which, speaking of bookends, we saw in the pilot, still in ruins from the occupation, and now it's gone through a beautiful restoration.
Yeah.
To me, it's giving like a combo of Angkor Wat and the Acropolis. It's got these temples rising on the horizon.
Yeah.
And then Sisko goes to visit a monastery, and he's in some beautiful garden grounds where he meets Vedek Bareil doing some planting.
Bareil. And Cole, my first question is...
Nope, not smashable.
Neither.
Not smashable.
Agreed.
Great.
God, I love it when we agree, but I want to know your reasons.
God. Okay, you know what? I think it's the voice for me.
Oh.
He sounds like a grandpa. There's no charisma.
No riz. Shit.
Bajorans don't have riz, and he is the epitome of trying to make Bajorans sexy and failing for this viewer.
All right.
It's a no for me.
I got different reasons from you, because I would argue a little bit of riz. Can I tell you why I wouldn't smash?
Go on.
Mainly because it looks like me and Bareil could be a little bit related.
I can't disagree with that. And now that you've said it.
I think we got a bit of a brother-sister thing going on, and I am not into that genetic attraction thing that they claim is a thing.
You know, we need to be careful here because I was surprised to read that Bareil had a massive following of fans. There's a huge, team Bareil.
Like the actor or the character?
Both. There was a strong faction of DS9 viewers who just love this guy. And if you're listening, I respect you. Feel free to write us with your thoughts. But let's take 2 steps back here. This Vedek wearing the red robes of a monk, should he even be sexy? Are the producers right to try to make this religious cleric sexy, or is that just weird? Because I think they want him to be sexy.
So I'm saying that if I did not look like this man, probably would smash. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I've written here the original hot priest.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Because I think that's what they were doing. And I think if his legion of fans is testament to that.
That's exactly what they were doing. Would you smash the Fleabag hot priest?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a no from me.
You didn't have to tell me. I know that. But that guy you can't deny the riz of hot priest.
He's got riz.
Yeah.
And maybe Bareil does too. Let's talk about Bareil. Sisko meets this guy planting some plants, and we learn that Bareil's not a normal Vedek. He's a cool Vedek.
Yeah, he's a cool priest. Yeah.
He and Sisko quickly bond over their shared aversion to having your ear squeezed to read your pa.
Oh, yeah.
Again, Bajoran religion dips its toes into all these human religions, and the pa is clearly like your chi, your life force.
Yeah.
And okay, but what religion does this remind you of, Lily? Bareil's like, yeah, I was 5 the first time one of the monks grabbed my ear. I misbehaved, so I was his favorite victim. Yikes. They are really going for these religious parallels.
Yeah.
Hello.
Shit. Because they agree with each other. This is like a boundary that you probably shouldn't walk up to someone and touch them. It's sort of inappropriate. And regardless of what it is, probably shouldn't touch someone's body without getting permission. But also, if it is the seat of your spiritual power, maybe you shouldn't just go up grabbing that either, I
mean, I think they probably both agree that if you consent, having someone feel your paw or whatever can be pretty powerful. But consent, it's a new concept on Bajor, and Bareil is leading the cause.
It's true. And then there's a great callback to this later in the episode.
Yes, I know. It's so good. Yeah. Bareil is the leading candidate to be the next Kai, the next spiritual leader. And he's clearly a lot less orthodox than Wynn. And Sisko has come all this way because he's hoping that Bareil will put in a good word with the Vedic Assembly about this whole school teachings brouhaha. But Bareil may be cool, but he's playing the long political game. And he's reluctant to seem too cozy with Sisko since it might damage his chances of becoming Kai.
Yeah, he kind of explains it I could do this one bit of good now, or I could do holistically so much good if I become El Popey Pope, the guy.
When I'm Kai, then we can talk. And it's very shrewd politicking.
Yeah. There's a great quote where he says, the prophets teach us patience. And then Sisko says, it appears they also teach you politics. But I don't think they do. I think that's just all hot priest.
That's all Bareil and his hot priest riz. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk about the garden metaphor?
I don't think I can, but you better tell me about it. Go on.
Okay, so when you first meet Bareil, he's about to go and plant this plant, and it's quite funny. Sisko's trailing after him like a toddler, and Bareil's just swanning about in this cherry red ceremonial kimono which, like, the more I say it, I'm like, maybe I would smash. Oh, God.
It's sounding pretty keen.
Yeah,
Take that
I'm
cherry
like,
red kimono off.
Oh, Baral. There's something about the way you look. I just love it. I don't know what it is.
Who does that remind me of?
Yeah, and then Baral sort of talks about how he never wanted to be in politics. He was just happy being in the garden, and that's where his strengths were lying. But then all these people found him quite popular. But if it were up to him, he would be a gardener. And I was just sort of wondering what you think about that, because clearly they're planting the seed of this. They've literally got him holding a plant and then talking about how what he really wants to be doing is growing things.
Oh, this is amazing. I think I just dismissed it as, nature good. So put a character you want us to like in nature. But he's also, he's planting nature. He's creating it. He's cultivating it. He's cultivating the future of Bajor. He's not stuck in the past. I think that's...
Or maybe like both religion and science, he's looking at as this thing that evolves, as this thing that like changes and grows, that you tend to...
Oof. I actually love that. Like, talk about a perfect blending of science and faith. Planting a garden, that sort of miracle of seeing the first bud peer above the soil, right? There's that miracle of life. But of course, it's also the science of life. So Baral is that beautiful meeting halfway of these two philosophies.
All right. Now, picture some other imagery. Picture, if you will, some modern architecture. Picture the Sydney Opera House.
For example? Go on.
Well, think about it. It's a structure that's plonked on a harbour. Yes, this is what architecture was about at the time. It wasn't about melding with the environment. I mean, you wouldn't call it brutalism, but it's kind of brutalist. It's poking out of the environment. It's so man-made. It's so just there, never changing.
Oh, snap.
I think it sort of speaks to what Vedek stands for, which is, I guess she's looking at this culture that could evolve, could be open-hearted, but she's coming in with this strict doctrine and just saying, here it is, and it's not going to change. There's no room for ambiguity. This is what it is.
But I'm ready to get angry letters from listeners, but I think Win and Keiko have more in common than either of them do with Baral.
No. I think that's what the episode is setting up. Yeah.
That's what both Keiko and Win are doing in their own ways.
Yeah, but I think that's sort of addressed. Like, God knows the writers do not love Keiko. They're not trying to set her up as the hero of this
Which is
story.
a real shame. I want to love Keiko, but they don't make it easy.
I know. What's the actress's name? She's cool. I like her.
Yeah, no, Rosalind Chow.
Rosalind Chow. Yeah. She was in a show that I watched recently called Sweet Tooth, and she plays this like matriarch kind of mob boss, and she's scary and cool. Liked it.
So, Sisko arrives back from Bajor, dejected, only to find that most Bajoran staff have started not even turning up for work in protest of this school fracas. And he's really at his wit's end and he's losing patience. And he has a pretty intense go at Kira. He's like, where the heck is everyone? He puts all his cards on the table. He's like, we're not here to protect your borders from Cardassians. That is not why the Federation is here. It's not why I'm here.
Yeah.
He says, we're here to build trust, which is code for we're here to schmooze you until you join the Federation. We're here to colonize you. And in his loss of patience, he really just admits this to Kira. And she is less than impressed with him. What did you think about this come to blows that these two have?
I guess I kind of like the scene because it sort of gets to the heart. It gets to the meat of what this antagonism has been about from the very beginning. And I kind of, in a way, I kind of like that Sisko is laying it all out for Kira to see.
It's not a good look, but it is honest.
It's not a great look, but it's sort of the first time he's sort of been honest with her about what this relationship really means. And there's been such a tension, like a push and pull between them of him claiming that it's all diplomacy and that it's all, you just need to calm down, madam. And she's, at times rightly very upset about the way that Bajoran citizens are being treated.
She got one form of colonialism out only to welcome in a much more subversive one.
Subversive and sneaky and sophisticated and
insidious.
Maybe malevolent. A bit like a little Vedek we might know.
Oof. Well, Odo and Bashir pop in to break the tension with a troubling update. Lieutenant Aquino was murdered. Shot by a phaser and then stuffed into the power conduit.
Shit. What was he doing? Apparently he was getting murdered.
Wait, it's my favorite line of the whole episode.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
You know me, blowing my load early. All right, go on.
My mother listens to this podcast.
Your mother loves my dirty mouth. Don't even pretend she doesn't.
I think she has a complex relationship with it.
Oh, don't we all? Don't we all?
So all the senior staff are assembled in Sisko's office, and hello, what a beautifully framed shot. You saw this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Livingston, I know that you did this specifically because it was the season finale. We've got all of Sisko's officers lined up together as if they're posing for the cover of the DVD set.
Yes.
And it really, right? It really projects this idea of a unified team, sort of Avengers assembled.
It's like a Mount Rushmore of
totally.
DS9.
Which, tensions are high. Things are actually not great between all these people. So it's a bit of a lie, this unified force. But they're all lined up together trying to figure out who murdered Lieutenant Aquino. Apparently, he had gone to a runabout pad the night he was murdered. Why? What was he doing at a runabout pad at 4 a.m? To which Odo says, Lily.
Apparently, he was getting murdered. Classic. He's just like still in the bit. He's always in the bit. God, I wish I could live my life in the bit as just someone in a film noir living my life.
I think you do pretty great. So O'Brien and his assistant Neela go down to the runabout pad to look for clues. In frustration, they share a tender moment, musing on
tender?
why Bajoran...
Or sexually charged.
You be the judge. I think they just have a sweet little conversation on why Bajoran and Starfleet officers don't mix that much. To which Neela says, "But Chief, you're not like the others. You don't put on any airs. You're just nicer."
You're not like other girls. You're different. You're special. She loves it. She's like, "You're so low maintenance." And he's like, I am low maintenance. And it must be so appealing to him because his relationship with Keiko is so much work. Let me tell you, this is why people cheat. Because it's like long-term relationships are work. And if you want to be in a long-term relationship, you got to know that it's not going to be some hot little cutie patootie just telling you that you're like a low maintenance king and you're different from other men. It's going to be someone who knows you saying like, just so you know, you're not a special boy. Like you're just like a person and I love you. Yeah. Whatever. No. But look, O'Brien's never going to do that. It's so against his moral code. He would never cheat.
Yeah.
But he's thinking about it.
I mean, how can you not? Look at Neela's ruby red lips.
Certified would smash.
To credit both Neela and O'Brien, do you actually think what she says is correct? She says, "You're not like the others. You don't put on airs. You're just nicer." I do think O'Brien doesn't have the sanctimonious superiority of probably most Starfleet officers. I mean, I think it might be there subconsciously, but he's just there to do his job with the E7 wrench. He's not on this mission to like educate the natives.
EJ7. It's an EJ7 wrench.
Excuse
EJ rhymes with BJ. Don't forget.
I do think Neela is acknowledging some lack of pretension with O'Brien, which is maybe why we like him.
No, but is it real or is it manipulation? That's the whole thing.
I think it's both. I think the best form of manipulation is when it's based in reality and based in truth.
Yeah. The thing is, he's not a political animal. When he goes and has a Jumja stick, it's because he likes it. It's not because he's trying to do something to win favors, you know? I think that's what Neela's picking up on.
O'Brien's like, this shit's good.
Yeah. Sorry, I got the champagne burps, everyone. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, on the promenade, Odo's meeting with Quark. We haven't seen Quark this whole episode, but Odo's summoned his buddy, hoping he's got some intel on Aquino's murder. Just as a shipment full of some more Orthodox Bajorans stream onto the promenade to support Wynn. And,
what are they wearing, Cole?
They're matching Wynn's maroon and purple, which I think is a beautiful combination. I mean, they may be Orthodox, but I think they look stunning.
Like, they love maroon on this show.
They do.
And
they should.
I'm all about maroon. If I could wear it, I would.
Is it not your color?
No, it's an autumnal color, Cole.
I can wear maroon. I don't like to brag about it, but facts are facts.
Rude. All right.
Odo and Quark watch this shipload full of Orthodox Bajorans stream in, and Quark gets very limited time in this episode, but they give him time to like fire some more shots at Orthodox religious people. He says, Orthodox, in that case, I'll need twice as many Davo girls.
Yeah.
Oof. They are going after the religious fanatics.
He's like, religion, hypocrisy, and you know who knows it? The guy who owns the brothel. He knows about all the weird ear touching.
The tell-alls about male prostitution in the Vatican, just off the charts.
Yeah, we got trouble.
We got trouble. All right, team, let's finish this recap before we're too drunk to discuss, before the wine takes over completely.
We've wound down too far down.
Well, O'Brien pops in and tells Odo excitedly that he's found a security bypass module at a different runabout pad.
What?
And Odo, aka Hercule Poirot, starts to piece it all together. Lieutenant Aquino must have caught the murderer trying to plant this bypass at the first runabout pad, and he got murdered for it. So then the murderer had to move his plan to a different runabout pad. So apparently someone wants to steal a runabout, but we don't know why. And why haven't they stolen the runabout yet? These are the questions we're asking when boom! There's a huge explosion.
Whoa.
O'Brien and Odo run to the explosion to see that the classroom has blown up.
And it looks expensive.
Colum and Renee are acting in front of a fireball. This is legit pyrotechnics. Odo is holding O'Brien back from lunging into the flames to look for Keiko.
Yes.
But phew, Keiko pops up behind them, safe and sound, and wearing a very nice velvet number, I thought.
She's changed into a much better outfit, but the headband is still on, and it's not good.
Yeah, no one's perfect, but she's alive, and that's what counts.
She's alive, and she's in velvet, and we stand that.
Yeah, 2 pluses. So it seems a simple homemade bomb blew up the school. A crowd is clamoring outside as Vedek Wynn arrives, and she's, of course, terribly concerned about the safety of all involved. Sisko's there, too, and he does not waste a second blaming her directly for fomenting violence. This man is not in the mood for diplomacy today. I mean, last night, Vedek Wynn tweeted, "Big protest at the school tomorrow. Be there. We'll be wild.
Totally.
We're going to walk down to the promenade and I'll be there with you."
Let's do it. Do it for me. Yeah.
Those are some 2021 references to anyone who didn't catch them.
I got it.
Great. All right. And in front of all these onlookers, Sisko calls out Wynn. He's like, "You know who you are? You are just a fringe politician who's come to DS9 in some cynical effort to scare up support." Basically, mocking her crowd sizes is what he's doing. And we love to see it. And Wynn snaps back, "You know what? You're not simply misguided. You want nothing less than to destroy us. You live without a soul," she says to Sisko. "You and your federation exist in a universe of darkness." Oof. And in rebuttal, Sisko makes an impassioned speech that feels very much like a summary of season 1. He says Starfleet officers and Bajorans on the station have been through quite a lot together. They've had their disagreements and some damn good fights, he says, looking at Kira. But each time they've come out closer together than ever for it.
Yes.
A beautiful summary of how things have progressed.
And I think we've made some parallels between Sisko and Atticus Finch. I would say this is another Atticus Finch moment. Like, it's a call for decency. It's a call for knowing that there is a sameness between peoples, that there is like a humanity that, whatever we want to call it, let's say humanity. There's a humanity that connects us.
We've agreed that's a good shorthand, for lack of a better word.
And also, in a kind of Atticus Finch way, his oration is just splendid. He can work a crowd. And I think a lot of the showrunners agreed that Avery Brooks in a crowd scene is something like majestic to watch.
We need more of this.
And you believe it. It's like, God, this guy should run a cult. Because the way he can express himself, the way he can sort of get people on board with his ideas about, reason and decency. And he says, like, these people know that we are neither the enemy nor the devil. We're just, we're people who are different from you, but we are like chugging along as best we can and trying to understand each other.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. He turns to Wynn and says, "You won't succeed here." And she says, "We'll see." And then what's this? A knowing glance between Vedek Wynn and Neela?
And then it all comes together because no one is sexually interested in Miles O'Brien. Except Bashir, but more on that later.
More on that later.
Neela, what are you doing? What are you doing, girl?
Turns out she didn't want O'Brien's Jumja stick. She just wanted his EJ7 wrench.
Tale as old as time. Am I right? Ladies?
So Vedek Bareil, the would we, wouldn't we, sexy Vedek, messages saying he's on his way to the station.
It's such a good scene.
So he's moved by the bombing of the school, and he's decided that he's actually ready to give Sisko's approval rating that boost after all. And he's talking to Sisko on the comms in Ops. And man, these two talk about sexual tension. I don't know,
Right?
but they have these, you saw it too.
Right.
These very deep, knowing glances they exchange.
Okay. Let me unpick this for you, right?
Please.
The text. All right, here's what the text is saying. Hey, Sisko, I got your invitation and I am gonna come down and hang out with you. Let's go look at the school and I want to see DS9. Show me around, babe.
Show me around.
All right, subtext. Hey, mate, I heard what you said and I thought about it. And look, if I'm going to be a real gardener, I'm going to grow some things at DS9. I'm going to help you out because, like, I think that you're a good guy. Let's build, like, a bit of political affiliation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and try and fix this for you because I can do that because people love me. Subtext. Hey.
How you doing?
Hey.
Can you let me dock in your port?
Yeah, that subtext is like, whew.
You say subtext. Who's the sub?
We all know it's Sisko. Durr.
Yeah, durr.
And you also have Neela is also in the background and she's listening in.
I want to give a shout out to actress Robin Christopher because just her lurking in this episode is top notch.
She lurks in several scenes and she is such a good
so
lurker.
Good. Yeah.
She is giving film noir too. And she's got the perfect alibi, which is having a crush on O'Brien for some reason. No one believes it, but like, sure.
Neela's overheard O'Brien and Sisko figure things out. And so she shows up in the temple where Vedek Wynn is to speak clandestinely with her. And man, Wynn is not thrilled to see her. She's like, you should not be here, my child. Neela's like, look, the jig is up. They found out about my escape plan with the runabout. To which Wynn says, yeah, that's too bad, but you're still going to have to go through with the plan. You're still going to go through with it. Revealing her as truly evil. Neela's like, I'm going to die doing this. And Wynn's like, your point being?
She's found this like true believer to the cause and was like, you know what I want you to do? Bad stuff. You want to live a nice life and serve the prophets? How about being a martyr instead?
Yeah, I want you to be like a suicide bomber, effectively, for the will of the prophets.
Totally.
Wynn says, but the rewards the prophets give for our sacrifices will last through eternity, which I feel like is definitely evoking 72 virgins awaiting for you in the afterlife.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a trope I actually don't like in Star Trek, where you've got an episode with a really rich ethical debate. You've got both sides, and then suddenly one side turns out they're fanatical terrorists, and it sort of renders the whole debate moot. Listeners, I challenge you to see how many times this comes up in Star Trek, where one side has some pretty valid points, but then, they're terrorists. It happens a lot.
No, but I disagree with you just to shock the listeners.
Great.
And I'm disagreeing with Cole. You're saying it's one-sided, but think about some characters who have integrity in this episode. And they're both Bajoran, spiritualists. We got Kira and we got Vedek Bareil, and they are acting with purpose, with integrity. They're not bombing anyone. I think that as much as you're looking at the two sides, yes, there are the fanatics who are going to bomb the place or whatever. But then there's also the middle ground of people who are representing the religion, being respectful of other cultures and trying to foster peace. It could have easily been Keiko or O'Brien. Like, O'Brien could have been, like, punching out Bajorans on the promenade. Like, he was about to punch some Bajorans who wouldn't give him a Jumja stick.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. We almost got violence from the other side.
Yeah, I think that you're looking at it as this binary, but I think the nuance is there already with
I think I'm just annoyed.
Moderates,
There are a lot of episodes where you think someone has a good point, but then it turns out they're a terrorist. It happens more than once on Star Trek. You're right, this episode is more nuanced.
Write a letter to your local magazine, your local Star Trek magazine.
She mocks me.
I never mock you. I love you. And then I say things. All right, go on.
Vedek Bareil arrives on the station to a rapturous crowd. And did you see who's at the very front of the crowd, thrilled to greet Bareil? It's Morn.
Is it Morn? Yes!
Morn.
Do you know what I almost said about this episode? Where the fuck is Morn? And I missed it. He's
He's
it. Of course he
he's
loves
gleefully
Baral.
of course he's a huge fan of sexy Vedek Baral.
Of course he's a Baral file. That's what I'm calling it. Yeah.
Heyo, Baral file. Yes. This is also, I think it's actually my favorite shot of the whole episode. It starts as this wide angle overhead of Vedek Baral emerging from the airlock, and then it backs up into an extreme close-up of this toolkit that Neela is holding.
Yes.
And this is what made me think Hitchcock.
Yes.
Because Hitchcock is obsessed with these MacGuffins, these props that the entire plot revolves around. And so you have this huge crowd scene pulling back to reveal clearly some weapon inside Neela's case that could ruin this entire scene.
It's great.
So Bareil walks to meet Wynn at the temple, who instantly reaches for his ear in this power move to try to grab his ear, and he bats it away. Isn't that an amazing moment?
But he doesn't bat it away. He grabs it and then holds her hand next to his in like a show of solidarity. He's like, not only am I stopping your power grab, I'm trying to say we're a united front because we're all part of the same religion. And she's just like, she's so mad, like gripping onto his hand. It's so good.
Bareil gets my vote.
Yeah, he's hot in that moment. Would smash in that moment.
That is the sexiest Bareil moment. Am I a Bareil file? Oh, God.
I'm a Bareil file. Call me incestuous, but here we are.
So he invites her to walk together to the ruins of the schoolroom in a show of unity against violence, and she grudgingly seems to accept. Meanwhile, O'Brien has dug up some encrypted files to find that they are security overrides of force fields, apparently charting an escape route from the promenade to the runabout pad. And that leads O'Brien to a device that is apparently disabling the weapons detectors on the promenade. And this is coming from a unit that he had just repaired with Neela 2 days ago. Oh no. The pieces are falling into place.
The moment that O'Brien realizes all signs point to Neela, it's like his little adulterous heart breaks.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, she didn't want to sleep with me. She was using me that whole time.
She was just
into me for my conduits and my EJ7, and not even in the good way. Like, she was all Jumja sticks that, EJ7's this, and no, I was a tool.
A tool for your tool. Ugh, I am so drunk. O'Brien contacts Sisko, who's in the crowd on the promenade, says, I think we're in big trouble with Neela. Sisko's eyes dart through the crowd. He spots Neela approaching, and things are getting so intense, they slip into slow motion.
Slow-mo! Have we had that? Is this the first time in the series?
Yeah, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I don't like it.
It's melodramatic.
Dated?
But like, they're proving a point, I guess.
So slow-mo, Neela pulling a phaser from her toolkit. She's aiming it right at Bareil. Sisko, slow-mo yells, no, and dives at
classic.
Neela. Okay, I get Sisko taking the bullet for Bareil, but I think I would have preferred O'Brien finding Neela and tackling Neela.
No, I think Sisko had to do it. Sisko has to prove that he gives a shit about Bajorans, you know? That's sort of the whole point of this season.
But he slow-mo dives, Neela's shot goes astray, and Bareil is saved. Yeah. Women don't know how to aim. I think that's really her problem.
Or drive, am I right?
Would she have even known how to fly that runabout?
Perhaps not. She would have just reversed it somewhere or something. Like, women in STEM does not mean good assassin.
It's fun when you and I get drunk. We just get randomly sexist for no good reason.
I love to cosplay as a sexist man. It's my favorite bit.
But in the resulting melee...
the melee. Tell me about the melee.
There's a resulting melee, chaos ensues, and it's Kira's turn
just
to
quickly,
see Vedek.
I love that you're like, Lily, Proust, and champagne, and then you're like, next sentence, melee. Where do you draw the line, Cole? Where is that line for you?
Just because I love a good synonym. In the resulting fracas... In the resulting... kerfuffle.
Yeah.
There is much ado on the promenade, and it's Kira's turn to see Vedek win for what she is. She goes up and she grabs Wynn by the arm and says, it was all to get him here, wasn't it? The school, the protest, the bombing. You knew that would get him out of the monastery. You did it all to kill him, to stop him from becoming Kai. And wow, my big takeaway is that monastery must have incredible security. Am I right?
Yes.
Like, to set up this entire political scandal, plant a bomb, hope that it'll lure Bareil to the station, have an engineer rewire an entire space station security for a getaway, that is some next level conniving. She could have just fucking poisoned the dude's monastery wine.
So interesting. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective. I was more thinking that she sort of wanted to garner some like positive public sentiment at the same time. It's kind of the Trumpian thing of like, no press is bad press. I will just be in the headlines. It's like, well, there was a big spectacle. It was a big brouhaha and everyone saw her kind of thing. Like, she doesn't want to be in the sidelines. She wants to be front and center of every
That's a good call.
story.
And she probably had some speech ready to make standing at Bareil's body. She was ready to seize the mantle and get in the spotlight.
She would be all like, I loved Bareil and that's why I should be Kai.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
You are demonstrating more political acumen than me, thinking 3 steps ahead.
And here's the thing. If she hadn't done the assassination attempt, she had Kira in the pocket. I had forgotten. Like,
isn't that crazy?
I'd revisionist historied the whole Kira originally being into Vedek Win.
Sure.
All I remember of this series is that Kira hates Vedek Win. But originally she was on side. And if she hadn't enacted like horrible violence and manipulation, then she would have had Kira. And Kira has the ear of the Federation, you know? It goes to show, if you want to be a good cult leader, don't do that.
Well, my heart breaks a little for Kira. We cut to her in ops after all this has gone over, and she's just looking despondent. I mean, it's sad to see her let down by a spiritual leader. As Sisko said, all that she had during her occupation was her faith, and now that's taken quite a hit, and she's more jaded than ever. Sisko shows up and he says, "Are you okay?" Kira's like, I've forgotten okay. Yeah. I don't even know what that is.
I love that line. I'm going to use it.
I've forgotten, okay?
It's great.
Yeah. But Kira, she strikes a truly conciliatory tone. That's right. I said the word conciliatory.
Conciliatory.
Really. She says, "Hey, I heard you make that speech earlier on the promenade. You're right. I don't think you're the devil." And that, my friends, is progress. They both grin because they realize how truly low the bar is. But hey, that's life on Deep Space Nine.
I think you have to look at the context of who Kira is as a character rather than who might say that on a whim. I think that she's very guarded. I think that trust does not come easily to her. I think loyalty does not come easily to her. And what she's basically giving him is trust and a little bit of loyalty. And those things are like the greatest currency you can have with someone like Kira. So what she's saying sounds like a small concession, but it's huge for her.
Yeah.
So I think as much as we can say, you know, Sisko says to her, maybe we have made some progress after all, I think it's actually so much progress. I think that's a huge thing for her.
Yep. Well, I'm hung up on a more important question.
Would I smash Kira at the end of this season as opposed to the beginning?
Well,
no.
Yeah, I think she'd bring a little too much intensity to the bedroom.
I think she's too self-serious for me. I don't think I could sleep with anyone so self-serious.
Yep. Okay, and Sisko? We haven't really talked about Sisko's smashability. I think we've had enough wine at this point that it needs to be discussed.
I love that I started the question with, who are we, Kira or Sisko? And now you, Cole Paulson, are asking me, would I smash Kira or Sisko? And I didn't even ask that question. It's like I've entered your brain.
No. Can I make a correction? This is all on record. I said, there's an important question. And you said, would I smash Kira? My question was going to be, who's Sisko and who's Kira? But you preempted that. That's exactly what the question was going to be.
Oh my God. I am a cult leader. I have made you ask these questions that you were never going to ask.
Yeah, exactly.
I should do it. I want to be rich, man.
But back to the issue at hand, Sisko's smashability.
Beginning of this season, the beginning of the book, no. End of the book, the bookend, yes.
Okay.
Would. You?
He needs to lose that hair. That's all I'm saying.
You are so superficial, Cole. You make me sad. Put a wig on it. All right. Let's get a bit more meta, shall we? Let's move on from these broader themes.
Ready.
Another question. Cole, have we made some progress after all? You and me, baby. Do you think?
I think I've brought you on board to Team Sisko. That was a big accomplishment of mine.
That was huge. Like, Sisko is amazing. And Avery Brooks is amazing. And I quickly came on board with that once you told me I was wrong.
I brought you on board and you surpassed me because I'm still willing to say that we don't need Shakespearean diction for every sentence he utters out of his mouth. Part of me wants him to just like rein it in a little bit.
Nah, I am like O'Brien on that Jumja stick. I am whole hog. I am just like
full-throated acceptance.
Yes, it's true. Avery Brooks, there is no choice you could make that I question now. I'm just like, you've got a reason and I will find it.
Yep.
Okay, my next question. So like something I noticed from our first episode is something you brought up. You're very genuine in your love of Star Trek, which I adore.
Mm-hmm.
We both adore that. And I think it's very like, no, but I'm being serious now. It's a very kind of peaceful and innocent place that you come from and you can watch Star Trek and embody this childhood of yours. And it's sort of this thing that existed before you saw what the world was and felt jaded about things. Yep. And that's another quality I love in you, that you retain this kind of hopefulness about the world. And I do think it's something from the first episode. You are quite starry-eyed about the show and you know, we're just starting out. Is that how you feel now after having watched the first season?
Our deep dive analysis of the first season has also coincided with a pretty sobering year in planet Earth and geopolitics of planet Earth. And it's interesting because our close reading has helped me see some problematic attitudes and behavior from the Federation that I don't think I'd really clocked before. I'm seeing this sort of benign colonialism and their blinkers. At the same time as I've seen the Western world really fail in some very big ways. And it's just made me ready to question everything. The 12-year-old Cole still really embraces the values of Star Trek, but I'm also able to see that even Star Trek, in all its open-eyed optimism, gets things wrong. And I guess I'm just adult enough now to see that even the most idealistic interpretations of humanity still have a long way to go in like learning about it. We still have so much more to learn. And I'm seeing the shortcomings of Star Trek is my drunken, honest answer.
I agree that there are some terrible things that have happened in 2024, but name a year in the history of humanity where there hasn't been something that makes a person question humanity, that makes a person question, I don't know, whether we're on the trajectory towards enlightenment. And I think that maybe what we've established in this TV show is the cyclical nature of history, that you can look at any point, you can pick a year and you can find an atrocity, maybe some bigger than others, obviously. You know, it is a matter of perspective. And I think this is something that a sci-fi show is teaching us, in a way, that the legacy of history is long and it's grand and it is cyclical. And we're going to see these atrocities repeat. We're going to see religious or political leaders recruiting based on the worst of our fears, based on our bigotry, based on our, I don't know, our basest desires, based on the horror.
For sure. You know, Martin Luther King, the arc of history bends towards justice. I think I might have paraphrased. But also with the cyclical nature, I suppose if I were to diagram it, it'd be like this. It'd be a ball spinning forward. And so even as history is repeating, it's still going forward. And I do still believe that. I think even with each backswing, we're gearing towards more of a future swing. You know, me and 12-year-old Cole still think we're going towards a brighter future. Even the way we regard each other, like the 20th century, we've got such a better vocabulary on human rights because of the horrors of the 20th century. And I think the same will come out of 2024. I guess I'm just aware that, you know, Star Trek Deep Space Nine was written in the 90s when we were still figuring things out.
But we still are.
But we're still figuring things out.
But
exactly.
We'll never stop figuring things out. And even a sci-fi show is telling us you can reach a utopia and then there'll just be some backwater space station where everyone is really just trying to still figure things out. And maybe the people who claim they've figured things out are just some people in a higher tower who aren't experiencing what's actually going on.
That's it. So immediately after the 2024 elections, my friend Alex and I were talking about how in the Star Trek timeline, World War III happens before anything good. And we ended up watching Star Trek First Contact as a sort of balm after the results of the 2024 elections. And it's a reminder that things, probably likely get much, much worse before they can move on to better. And that's just the cyclical nature of history. So bring on World War III and then bring on the Vulcans and their Happy tidings.
Do you know what? I'm going to quote again Cole from episode 1 of Deep Space Wine. He said that ultimately Star Trek, if you watch it, is kind of like a chicken soup for the little nerd soul. So like
Absolutely.
when you are sick, when you feel bad, this is what you reach for. And he also said that he used it as a balm for the 2016 election. I don't know if you remember saying that. You looked to Star Trek and you found something to gain from it about the hope of humanity. And I think that's important. I might be jaded and crusty on my core and claim that I'm watching it because it's boring, it makes me fall asleep, or like it's just a comfort watch. But I think I'm watching it for the same reasons too. I think that I feel afraid all the time. All the time. And is it so surprising that I go and watch Star Trek to feel better about the world? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think that we have that in common. I think that's the main thing we've always had in common, that we look to this
100%.
This thing as like, it's not a solution, but it's like a hug, you know?
It's just it's spending time with our better angels.
Okay, I'm going to end this with a retrospective analysis of the two texts. The two texts being season 1 of Deep Space Nine.
Of Deep Space Nine and season
1 of Deep Space Wine.
Yep.
Here we go. This is about both of them. You ready?
Ready.
There is some questionable production quality.
Yeah.
There's some really tight, well-written episodes. Right?
Absolutely.
Everyone will agree. There are some very flabby, shambling episodes that seem a bit like a drunk person wrote them. Alamarine, motherfuckers.
Alamarine.
Right. Perhaps sometimes the show is a little too esoteric for populist tastes.
Indeed.
On that same note, is the show a little bit too self-serious sometimes? Maybe? I don't know. And my
Depends
final...
Depends how much I keep from the last 20 minutes.
The last 20 minutes was beautiful and I cried. So how dare you? And my last note is everyone involved, arguably, is smashable.
Oh, that is beautiful. Cheers to that.
So that's my takeaway.
I can't argue with any of that.
Cole, do you have anything else to say about our season of Deep Space Wine?
How could I? After that coda, I guess I just think that much like how Kira and Sisko realized that their friendship is only just getting started.
Yes.
This is only the beginning.
I agree.
Great. We do want to hear from all of you listening.
Yeah,
We've got
how
an
can
Instagram.
they reach out to us?
We've got a pretty active Instagram, deepspacewine_podcast.
Yes.
And let us know. Let us know what you want to hear more of. Let us know if you
questions.
egregiously disagree with anything we've said here. Maybe you want to speak up for Keiko. Maybe you want to speak up for Vedek Win.
Maybe you want to speak up for Keiko's headband. We think you're wrong, but convince us, you know?
We'll politely tell you you're wrong, but you know.
I'll tell you to your
platform.
face. Yeah. We're thinking about taking a brief hiatus. We're thinking about a bonus episode to do with some FAQs about the season of Deep Space Nine.
FAQs. Frequently asked.
Frequently. Everyone's asking me, you know. All right, let's sign off, shall we?
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Love you. Bye.